Hello there, and thank you for joining me. You are about to hear the story of how a single theological manuscript became a fully featured roadmap for making and measuring whole-life disciples among the world's young people. We will travel in two movements. In the first 10 minutes, I will explain the academic engine room, how Dr. Jesse Stone's original biblical discipleship paper was fused with the formative insights of 5 major thinkers. In the second 10 minutes, I will translate that fusion into the practical constructs and tools you, our digital resource builders, will soon turn into apps, dashboards, videos, and cohorts. Let's begin at the beginning. Dr. Stone's manuscript set the theological spine. He framed discipleship as the Great Commission's demand to form obedient apprentices, not mere converts, and he organized that vision around 3 perpendicular axes: orthodoxy, right belief; orthopraxy, right action; and orthopathy, right affection. Grounding his argument in passages such as Deuteronomy 6, Matthew 28, and John 15, he showed that biblical faith is whole-person faith. That was the starting point. Then we invited 5 voices to expand, deepen, and operationalize that vision. First came Bill Hall. Hall's lifelong thesis is blunt: conversion equals discipleship equals mission. He insists that belief divorced from obedience is not Christian belief. Hall supplied the insistence on accountable microgroups, his famous 40-week triad process, and the conviction that every metric must test whether learners actually obey Jesus. Second arrived Dallas Willard. Willard gave us the golden triangle of spiritual transformation and the VIM framework: vision, intention, means. He clarified the psychology of change. Disciples need a breathtaking vision of the kingdom, an unambiguous decision to pursue it, and a concrete regimen of means, practices, community, and spirit-enabled circumstances. His taxonomy of the 6 human dimensions let us map Jesse's 3 axes onto mind, will, body, social context, soul, and spirit. Third stepped in John Ortberg. Ortberg popularizes Willard's ideas for the local church. He adds the language of a well-ordered heart, joy as a diagnostic of true formation, and the warning that hurried souls cannot follow Jesus well. Ortberg's pastoral warmth kept the paper from sounding clinical. He tethered practices to relational delight in God. Fourth, John Mark Comer. Comer is the millennial translator of Willard and Ortberg, addressing Gen Z's digital fatigue. He brings the rule of life template, tech Sabbath, and the idea of a community of practice that pursues silence, simplicity, and Sabbath together. His voice ensured that the eventual resources would speak natively to digital natives. The 5th contributor is practical theologian Richard Osmer. Osmer is not a formation theorist in the same sense as the others, but his 4-task method, descriptive, interpretive, normative, and pragmatic, gave structural bones to the entire project. His framework is the scaffolding that moves us from what is happening to why, to what ought to be, and finally, to how shall we respond. Every section of the long-form paper sits inside one of Osmer's quadrants. When these 5 streams converged with Dr. Stone's biblical spine, several gains emerged. We shifted from information to transformation. Jesse supplied exegesis. Hull demanded obedience. Willard taught the mechanics of heart change. Ortberg guarded the soul. Comer supplied Gen Z-friendly practices. Osmer kept us cycling from research to implementation. Together they turned a brilliant theological essay into an actionable, measurable discipleship ecosystem. That completes our first movement. Now, let's spend the next 10 minutes exploring the nuts and bolts you will soon digitize. At the center stands the Youth Discipleship Impact Framework, or YDIF. Imagine a dashboard with 5 domains: spiritual, cognitive, socio-emotional, vocational, and physical. Each domain owns a handful of indicators. Under spiritual, we score Bible engagement. 4 or more days a week triggers a green light, and track participation in communal worship and accountable relationships. Under cognitive, we test core gospel beliefs with a 6-item index. Socio-emotional captures the fruit of the Spirit via peer and mentor ratings. Vocational watches educational progress, employment steps, and a sense of calling. Physical monitors lifestyle choices, sleep, exercise, substance avoidance, that honor the body as God's temple. Baseline, 12-month, and 36-month checkpoints feed longitudinal graphs. Your digital task will be to build the survey engine, the color-coded KPI tiles, and exportable reports for local churches. Next come the practice engines. Model 1. Rule of Life Cohorts. Borrowing from Comer, a church forms clusters of 8 to 12 youth who craft a shared rhythm. Daily scripture, weekly tech Sabbath, monthly generosity challenge, quarterly silent retreat. An app will push reminders, track streaks, and invite reflection journals. You will design the UX so a 16-year-old in Nairobi and another in Nashville both feel seen. Model 2. Hull-style discipleship triads. 3 peers meet weekly for 40 weeks. They rotate leading, memorize scripture, confess temptations, and set obedience goals. In the app, they log goals privately, check off readings, and schedule their next meeting. A secure chat supports midweek encouragement. These microgroups are our obedience accelerator. Model 3. Presence-centered rhythms. This church-wide calendar restructures the pace of congregational life. No meeting Mondays, worship nights that linger, quarterly days of silence. Digitally, that means push notifications that invite, not demand, participation. Tonight, we practice stillness. Here is a 5-minute audio guide. Model 4. Compassion-style holistic partnerships. Here, scripture engagement wraps itself around social support, after-school tutoring, nutrition checks, basic health care. For you, that translates into blended content streams. Bible stories paired with life skill videos, reflection questions paired with health tips, and a scheduler that reminds mentors to log both spiritual and physical progress. Underpinning every model is data. We will triangulate surveys, attendance logs, and app analytics. For instance, if a teen's Bible engagement streak drops, the system quietly alerts her mentor, who can reach out before drift becomes dropout. At 12 months, the dashboard aggregates. 87% of cohort members maintained 4-day scripture engagement. 73% report increased joy. Secondary school completion rose by 6%. That evidence fuels donor reports and continuous program improvement. Leadership development also digitizes. Senior pastors access a video library, 10-minute segments on vision casting, change management, and the theology of whole life discipleship. Children's workers complete micro-learning badges on developmental psychology and creative Bible teaching. Emerging leaders join peer forums moderated across time zones. All certificates auto-populate to the church's profile so regional coaches can track capacity growth. Family integration features prominently. Parents receive push prompts that mirror what kids learn. When a 10-year-old studies kindness, mom's phone suggests a dinner table question: where did you notice someone acting kindly today? When a 17-year-old practices tech Sabbath, dad gets a weekend challenge to set his phone aside too. Analytics will show whether households actually engage these prompts, giving us another loop for refinement. Throughout, the Spirit-empowered dimension remains explicit. Prayer prompts, testimonies of answered prayer, and options to log spiritual gifts keep the supernatural in view while still honoring rigorous measurement. We keep space for mystery even as we track metrics. Finally, pilot strategy. The paper recommends launching the YDIF dashboard and the triad model in 3 regions, say Latin America, East Africa, and Southeast Asia. You will customize language packs, local illustrations, and data privacy settings. Baseline data collection begins 30 days before launch. 12 months later, we publish findings, iterate resources, and scale. In summary, your mandate is clear. Take the theology of obedient, whole-life discipleship, weave in Hull's triads, Willard's change mechanics, Ortberg's soul care, Comer's rule of life, and Osmer's research discipline, and package all of it into digital ecosystems that are intuitive, culturally flexible, and measurement-rich. When you succeed, churches will not merely distribute Bible content. They will form resilient, fruitful followers of Jesus whose transformed lives provide credible, empirical witness in every sphere. Thank you for listening. I am excited to see how you will convert this vision into code, content, and community that ignite the next generation of disciples worldwide.